One of the main comments I got about the other fender is like, oh, that looks really, really flimsy. It's not. Alright, welcome to the quarantine Q&A. Got more questions than I thought I would, so let's get on with it. I'll start off with one question I've been asked the most, and that's how do you get both sides exactly the same? And it's pretty simple. What I did at the start is make two of everything in the foam. The top, the sides, everything, including the little spaces that go between this and the body. So you can't really go wrong when it comes to making the other side. I've made the other side, it's absolutely fine, it's perfect. The other reason I haven't filmed it is because I've got no space in the workshop to really film down there, and it would just be really, really boring watching the same stuff over and over again. Dougie Watts asked about the power steering for this. I am going to be doing an electric power steering conversion on this. I've heard it's pretty straightforward. I am going to be doing it pretty soon, money depending. It is quite a common thing to do on kit cars, and relatively simple apparently, so I am definitely going to be doing that very soon. Liam T asked, do you ever think about moulding the over fenders to the body of the car before initially starting working on the Brat? I didn't really want to kind of blend it into the body. I didn't want to go for that style. I wanted to go for a specific kind of the 80s, very simplistic style. I don't think it really lent itself to this car in particular. I might do it to another car in the future, but I wanted to go for this style because I think it suited it more, and I wanted to do this style specifically. It's kind of like, yeah, 80s hill climb, Pikes Peak inspired style. So something quite basic, but aggressive, you know. Caesar asked where to get the foam sheets and the fiberglass. Well, foam sheets I get from a place in the UK called East Coast Fiberglass Supplies. For a 4 foot by 4 foot sheet, it's about £40, so not too expensive. I have found a supplier in the US that does it, but they are more expensive, but obviously that was just the first one I found. So if you search around, you can probably find it a lot cheaper than they've got it up for sale for. And for fiberglass sheet, I use the same company in the UK. Matt's GT asked, what was your first car and what motivated you to start working on cars? First car was an Austin Metro, cost £90. Do a Google Images search for one of those. What motivated you to start working on cars? My whole family's an automotive family, so it's kind of ingrained to me to work on cars. I can't really get away from it, so it's just been a thing that's always been there. And ever since having like my first car, I've wanted to do things to it. It's just most car guys I think have that urge just from the beginning, just to kind of do things to their cars. Pullin Speed Factory, can we get a video of the SVX cruising up the hills? Well, I was planning on taking the SVX out more this year, but because of the current pandemic, that's not going to happen. The reason for that is, like most people in the UK, we're not working at the moment because of the pandemic. Luckily, I'm on furlough, so that's what the UK government are doing for most workers at the moment. So you don't go to work, but you get 80% of your normal wage. So I have taken a bit of a hit in terms of money. So I'm trying to be as careful as I can with money right now, and the SVX is a bit of a luxury, so it's going to have to be on hold for now. RB Dugan, are you planning on a full front clip build? I'm going to keep the front pretty simple, he says. The hood's going to stay the same, the grille and the bumper, they're all staying the same. The bumper itself, the chrome one, is actually a really rare option in the UK. Most of them were plastic ones, so that's staying as it is. Everything's blacked out really, so aside from the lip I've put on the front, like the kind of air dam, that's pretty much what I'm going to do to the front. Oh, and maybe a lip on top of that, maybe carbon fibre, I don't know yet, but something like that I think. Jason Taboni, what are my YouTube inspirations, if any? I mean, obviously I watch a lot of YouTube. One channel that really stands out is Gears and Gasoline, just really well shot, really kind of relaxing videos. The two guys that run it, Ben and Ben, they're just super chilled out, they've got really nice builds, they take their time. They're just, to me, the epitome of car guys, and like I said, it's really chilled out and really nicely shot. So if you haven't checked out Gears and Gasoline, please do. Marcus Luby, he has a Brat that's rear-ended a truck and he wants to rebuild it. The problem is time and money. Feel you there. And he asked, what's the best thing to start on? Honestly, if it runs still, I would leave the engine until last. These things are actually very straightforward and very simple. So rebuilding the front isn't going to be that hard. And if it's at home and potentially in the way, you could still drive it back and forth. So I would do the bodywork first. Like I said, it's pretty straightforward stuff. There's not much to these cars. Yeah, do that first and then concentrate on the engine. The engine's pretty simple itself as well. There's not much to it. So yeah, that's what I would do personally anyway. TMPT50, what would be my dream build? Ugh. Dream build, if money was no object, will probably be a Ferrari 250 GT, short wheelbase version, but like an outlaw style build. That's real proper dream stuff for me. Something realistic would be, I don't know, probably another probably another Subaru. Radspeed asked what type of foam I'm using. The official name is closed cell polyurethane foam. I'll put a link in the description to where I get it from and the place that I found in America that sells it. Oliver Dixon, when's the EJ20 going in? After I've done the bodywork and when I can afford it. Yeah, it's definitely getting an engine swap. I haven't decided what engine exactly. It's going to be an EJ20, but I haven't decided if it's going to be NA or turbo yet. I love NA motors. I love NA motors. Probably saying you should turbo it, but I love NA motors. And I believe the most powerful EJ20 you can get is out of a Legacy. About 170 brake, which is over twice what this is stock. So, and this car doesn't weigh much at all, so it'll be a lot of fun, I think. Hacko asked, are you sure it's not an Alpha 155 in the background? Yeah, pretty sure, dude, pretty sure. Adam loves the SVX. Any more plans for videos on it? Yes, there will be. In fact, I'm gonna have a little bit of a break from doing videos on this. Pretty simple, I think. But it's gonna finish it off quite nicely, so look out for that. Kosher style tuning. Matt, hey buddy. How do you find working on cars as a day job and as a hobby? I'm in my natural habitat working on cars. I think the fact that we work on kind of normal cars during the day, and then when it comes to the weekend working on this type of car is definitely enough of a variation to kind of keep me interested. I just love creating things. I love using my hands. I love the satisfaction of making something from scratch. So as long as I'm doing that in one way or another, I'm perfectly happy, and it's one of the few things in life that I don't get bored with very easily. Senna Cross wants to get into painting cars, and what's the minimum you need for a DIY setup, or a decent DIY setup? Like most things, get the best stuff that you can afford. You can get good guns for around £100 in the UK. £150 will get you like a pretty good starter gun. There's a company in the UK called DeVille Biss. They make really good guns. I recommend something like that, or an equivalent to it, in terms of a gun. Get yourself a little regulator for it, so obviously you can regulate the pressure going through the gun, hose obviously, and a compressor. Now the compressor you want to get as big as you possibly can, because you want to maintain that pressure throughout the spraying process. There's nothing more frustrating than pressure dropping and the tank having to refill. It will affect the way the paint goes onto the car, the kind of consistency of it. So the bigger the compressor that you can, the better. Cyril Savage, are you wrapping or painting the final step? I'm going to be painting it, obviously. Work in a paint shop, so definitely going to be painting it. 01 Fozzie and 808 Garage also asked about the SVX and future plans for it. Right, okay, so wheels I'm going to be changing. I'm definitely be doing a side skirt of some sort. I wasn't really feeling the side skirt I was working on, so I'm going to do something from scratch there. So wheels, side skirt. I'm going to be doing some rear spats for the bumper, heat wrapping the exhaust on the back, and probably some interior bits. Nothing too crazy, just finishing off, and a steering wheel, I think. Connor Wallace, do you miss your old EK4 Civic? Yes, I do. Thanks for bringing that up. If you go to some of the very first uploads on this channel, there's quite a few videos of my EK4 on there. In its last stages, it was the most powerful B20 in the UK at the time. It was running around 265 brake, high compression, stripped out, roll cage. It was amazing. It was ridiculous. It was super aggressive. It made me very angry driving it. Miguel asked about the materials and how much it will cost. Materials, fiberglass foam, fiberglass resin obviously, fiberglass filler, and then some regular filler just for the pinholes, and then Raptor coating. They're pretty much all the materials I used. And cost wise, you're probably looking about £100 per corner, but you will get kind of like leftover bits from each side that will go quite a long way. So I'd say on average about 100 for the fronts each, and for the rears it's going to be a little bit more, so probably about 150 on the rears. John Bradley asked about matching the over fenders. Like I said at the start of the video, make 2 of everything. You can't go wrong. Take lots of measurements. You'll be fine. It worked out. The other side's done. I'll show you in a bit. And did you ever finish off the SVX? Yes and no. I got to a point where I was happy with it at the time, but also I kind of had enough of it. It got a little bit intense, so I wanted to give it a good rest. Hence me switching to this to kind of have a little break from it. Shane asked about the backdrop material, so I assuming you mean music. I'll put a link in the description and all the videos of the artists that I use. It's pretty much the same guy most times. I really like it because it's quite chilled out and a little bit different from the normal YouTube music. Eric Firebird asked about the sandpaper I use. Well, I'll show you. I use this stuff. This is made by Mirka. It's called Abranet. This isn't the cheapest stuff in the world, but it's amazing. It goes a really long way. It lasts forever just because it doesn't clog up. This is an 80 grit and that's what I used to do the phone work with. Tom Pom Pom, do you give any warranty on your projects? Well, I haven't sold any of my projects to anyone, so no. Chad asked for a video about the SVX and kind of it being finished. Well, it's kind of tricky because outside there's not much more room than there is in here, so I can't really do a walk around video. Also, it's not my land, and the neighbour next door is, yeah, he's difficult. So I did have something planned with my very, very close friend. He's a director of photography, one of the best in the world. I don't mean to brag, but he is. He's worked with some of the best companies in the world. He's incredible. We were planning to do a video together, but again, because of the virus, everything's been put on hold, so hopefully we'll get something done this year, fingers crossed. The Zunis. Any tips you can offer for DIY painters? Again, get the best you can in terms of equipment. Keep everything as clean as you possibly can when it comes to the painting stage. For that, obviously, prep stage is the most important, like you'll hear most painters say. It's all in the prep work. Take as much time as you can doing that, and that will affect obviously the finished outcome, but prep, prep, prep. That's all I say. Sean asked about the fender flares and he wants to do the same on his Civic. He wants to know what to use. You can use the foam, you can mould directly off your OEM fender and kind of push it out that way like I did on the SVX. It's entirely up to you what you use, whatever you're comfortable with really. Gorilla Project Car. What's the plan for the Brat after you finish? Engine mods. Definitely engine mods. Oh, power steering first, electric power steering first, then engine mods. Max Horseman asked, do you have any spare parts of the SVX I can have? Sorry buddy, I don't. But obviously a lot of shows are going to be cancelled or postponed, but honestly I think more good's going to come out of it. It's going to give people more time to work on their projects. It's going to slow things down a little bit, gives people time just to kind of really think things through. I think everyone gets slightly obsessed with trying to get their cars ready for the show season. If they've got technically an extra year, say for example that all shows get cancelled this year, so it's just next year, everyone's going to get an extra year to work on their car. So I think personally it's going to be more good than bad, and the levels of builds that will be coming out for next year are going to be even better than they would be this year. So I think it's going to be for the best. Garage Barrage asked, how do I get more subscribers? Upload videos as much as you can, record as much as you can. Pretty much every YouTuber will tell you that, but it's true. I've been uploading videos for a long time, and still pretty small channel, but maybe because I don't work on supercars or things like that, I don't know. Retro Phil, will you ever contact the YouTube channel called Maxers? I haven't heard of them, so I'll check them out, and who knows. D. Clark, why classic Subarus? Bit of a backstory here now. The main reason for Subarus is because during the mid-80s my granddad and my uncle set up a garage, and it was a Subaru dealership. Well, they did Subarus and did Hyundais, but mainly Subarus. This was the time where obviously the Brats were around, you know, like the Leon coupes, and then some of the 1.8 turbos came out around that time as well. But I spent a lot of time as a kid around that garage. I remember going on like a few little kind of industry track days, things like that with my uncle. So I've really fond memories of Subarus. It's kind of part of my family history. So I gravitate towards them a little bit more than other brands. I don't want to be like just that Subaru guy. I do love other car brands, and I have got plans for other builds in the future that aren't Subarus, but I will always have Subarus. It's just one of those things that, like I said, it's kind of ingrained into me. I can't get away from them. I love them. I'm definitely never selling the Brat, definitely never selling that. The SVX, I have a problem. I just love every car. I don't want to keep all the cars. Out of the two, you know, if I had to sell one, it would be the SVX. The Brat, I'd have to keep. I'd have to keep this, especially as it's one of the cars that I remember from my childhood. Definitely. Ryger the Destroyer. Opinions on 60s and 70s muscle cars, and would you ever own one? Yes, I would. I don't know what one exactly. The only issue with owning a car like that in the UK, well, there's many issues. One being size. UK roads are a lot narrower than US roads. Petrol's really expensive, gas really expensive. One of my first boss's car was an AC428. You can look that up. Obviously, it's not an American car, but it had a 427 in it. So I do love a V8. I love a V8. I love the sound of it. One of my close friends has got an amazing SS Camaro. Beautiful car. I know there's so many of them out there, but I would definitely like to get involved in one day. Status Error, hey buddy. They're a UK clothing company. I'll put a link in the description below. Automotive themed, amazing designs, amazing clothes. Please check them out. Now he wants me to come to his house to work on his car. I will do, dude, I will do, and we will make it very, very cool. Gleb asked about the SVX and what was the purpose of buying it. Just because it was very, very different. No one really works on them in the UK, and no one modifies them really in the UK, so that was one of the main reasons. Also the engine, I love the engine because it's a 3.3 flat six, sounds amazing. It's NA, kind of sounds like an old Porsche, and I absolutely love it. Got slightly obsessed with the sound of the engine. That's one of the main reasons I got it. And Retrophil asked about the Subaru Justy, and the one that shares the same platform as a Swift. Yeah, I saw that Pikes Peak Swift. That's very, very cool. And yeah, it's very, very tempting to get a little Justy. It's just time, space, and money at the moment, so nothing major. Jeff W, when are you joining the YouTube community of starting the Lambo build or LS1 swap or 2J swap or a casual 1000 brake horsepower drag build at the weekend? Never. I'm always going to do things that are different and hopefully that no one else is really doing, and to push myself and my skills. So even if the channel does get really big, I'm still going to be doing weird stuff. John Pace asked about the Raptor code. So get yourself a mixing cup just like this, it's got all the measurements on it. To do this over fender, I only mixed up to there, so I did up to that line with Raptor, up to the one next to it with hardener, and then put 20% thinners in. Mix it up, put it through the gun, perfect. So you use only what you need rather than people just dumping it into the Raptor bottle, shaking it up, and then you've wasted a whole bottle. You can basically just decant it into that as much as you need, and it goes a very long way. Adam and Sarah McMichael asked about the cost of the over fenders. So like I said, it's going to cost about £100 per side in materials for the fronts anyway. The rear is probably a little bit more, probably about 150, and you will get kind of like leftovers that you can use on the other side. So yeah, about that per side. Nothing crazy, and I don't think that's too much money for something that's completely one-off, completely different from what anyone else is doing. It's worth it. It's going to cost you more in time than it is in materials.
Subscribe, you fools.